So let's as enough of us are here, let's start with the session now. So today's session will just discuss on aerodynamics overview first, what aerodynamics is, and then we'll discuss about unique design aspects of Cybertruck. Like before that, we'll also discuss about vehicle dynamics, like vehicle aerodynamics aspects, and what are the forces involved and how they behave. And then we'll do a like kind of a comparative understanding where we'll design how this will see how the design gets affected by the air and how the design actually improves or reduces the performance. So depends on the things. Later we'll discuss about general simulation requirements and analysis discussion based on a research paper that was published in around 2019 by an IIT student. So we'll just dive into the session. So basically, when you talk about aerodynamics, there is this concept called airfoils. So whenever you are going to discuss about an airfoil or an aerodynamic aspects, you need to understand the basics of aerodynamics. That starts with a shape which is easily through which the air cuts easily and the flow becomes streamlined, and that way your flow becomes that way you'll have lesser turbulence over the surface, and more efficiently your any of the object, any object, if you put in air, it should have a smooth surface and smooth design through which the air should flow, or the air separates from the nose tip. As you can see over here, it should be so smooth, and it should be so the separation should be in such a way that it should go parallelly with the air should flow parallelly to as is passing through over the contours or surfaces. Now, why I bring up aerofoils when we are about to discuss the vehicle aerodynamics? So because we need to understand the concepts of drag and lift, and to understand a bit more detail about what the vehicle aerodynamics is, and to better understand the differences between the usual pickup trucks and the Tesla Cybertruck. So basically, when you talk about airfoils, they are used in airplanes, and whenever you'll have these airfoil shape, as you have noticed, you'll have a nose at the start of the airflow and for the airfoil, and towards the tip it's like a trailing edge. It's called trailing edge, and it's very narrow, if you can see. Now, due to this shape, the air flows easily over the airfoil and through the air, over this surface, which makes the airflow as efficient as possible, and this allows the airplane, or this airfoil shape is the most optimum shape, which is essentially used for in airplanes to facilitate the airflow. Now, how does an airfoil generates a lift? So basically, when you will be using Bernoulli's equations for understanding how airfoils generate the lift. Well, you will have the pressure difference which is used for understanding like the airfoil. This is the basic, most convenient form of airfoil of Bernoulli's equation, where you can see that the pressure difference is actually proportional to the pressure difference is actually proportional to the kinetic energy exerted by the particle. And wherever you have a higher pressure, there you have a lower velocity, and wherever you have lower pressure, there is a higher velocity. And that's how the dynamic works. Now, how this generates lift? So basically, you will have these pressure loading conditions where your pressure will always act normal to a surface. So basically, your pressure will always act onto something. So whenever your pressure is acting onto surface of a car or surface of a vehicle, it is considered as positive pressure. And whenever you will have a negative pressure, that means either you will have a lower pressure area, or you will have the pressure generated from system to surrounding, or from the vehicle to air. So in general, that does not happen in that way, but for analogical perspective and for understanding the concept of negative and positive pressure, we consider it to be acting against the surrounding pressure that was acting on it. So that's the general idea of negative pressure. Now, This negative pressure generates a suction away from the surface. And in terms of vehicle, when you are analyzing a vehicle or having a vehicle analyzed, so basically in that case you'll have the negative pressure acting. In that case it will generate drag. So how and what drag is and what all these concepts are, we'll just see how it happens. Basically you will have the top suction surface. We'll just divide this aerofoil into two parts. One is top suction surface, bottom is the other is bottom surface. And on your top side you will have the flow will accelerate around this maximum thickness, and then it will decelerate due to this obstruction in the flow. When your air fluid tries to come over at this region, let me just use pen. When your fluid or air particles tries to come over here, they start getting compressed, and basically when they are trying to move in this direction, they are basically launched off of this surface, and thereby creating higher velocity and reducing the pressure. So you'll have a higher pressure rise over here, as you can observe here, and that will generate suction, right? So your flow will be faster. So that's what happens over the top of the airfoil. Now when you talk about the bottom surface, you'll have a lot of like activity going on, where just a minute, yeah, where you'll have this velocity coming in, and again same thing happens, but due to the nature, to the shape of the flow, the fluid does not get launched, and the kinetic energy just sort of not increases where it's moving down here. But when your fluid is actually moving from here, it will be there will be kind of a negative pressure generated from here, and it will be creating a positive pressure from the surrounding place onto the surface, and thereby it will generate a lift at this particular point. As you can see, the pressure distribution that is varying from here, where it will be negative pressure at the start of the place, where you will have a higher flow velocity because the flow is start to separate, and then when it's moved past that phase, it will be starting like due to the higher pressure area, it will be generating the lift force. So now in this scenario, what happens is we try to maximize this particular region because it generates the lift that is required. And when you talk about lift, it will be like due to higher amount of lift, there will be a higher force acting from the downward from downward to upward onto this bottom surface, and basically your airfoil will be able to have higher chance of lifting. Now this is the basic concept in aerodynamics. Just a minute. Now this is a basic concept what we're talking about. Now how the force balance is covered. In aerodynamics, you will have like based on the direction of the force acting, you will have these resolved forces you will get. So basically in vertical upward direction you will have lift, in horizontal forward direction you will have drag, in bottom direction you will have weight, or it's also called as downforce. It's equivalent of lift, but I mean it is exactly as lift, but it acts in opposite direction. And you will have your thrust force, which is applied by the vehicle or by the airplane to avoid or to reduce the drag. So these are the forces or resolvent of forces that is happening, and the same analogy is used in all vehicles also. While designing the vehicle for aerodynamic purposes, it will be using this same analogy, where you need to minimize the drag and you need to maximize the efficiency through drag, reducing the drag. And also you need to also minimize lift in terms of vehicle, because when you are moving at a higher speed, the vehicle will tend to lift itself upwards, and due to that there will be instability in movement, and there will be higher turbulence, and there might be chances where your vehicle can get damaged, and at higher speeds it will lose its stability, it will lose its control, and that accidents might happen. So in that case also we need to have a perfect, like near perfect balance on these two properties in terms of vehicles. But in terms of airplanes, when you are discussing about this, you'll have you will require higher amount of lift, and you need to reduce drag as much as possible. So that would be the analogy. Now here is another concept called angle of attack. So this is more inclined to airplanes, but it is also same kind of analogy is used in vehicles, where you will have instead of angle of attack, you will basically have your airflow directly impacted on the vehicle surface, like vehicle front end, and the smoother your vehicle front end is, the better the chances you'll have for the splitter over here, like airflow split over here, and a good balance for good streamline flow will occur from the top surface. Now when we talk about the front end of the car, when you talk about aerodynamics of a car, the drag is usually caused by air attempting to flow around the car. So whenever the air particles are closing together, they will approach to the front end, they start compressing and they start to look away, look for openings to move past that particular space. Now when that happens, you'll have for this kind of a shape, where you will have kind of a nose kind of a shape, as you can see here. For this kind of a shape, you will the air particles will find it easier easier to move ahead with this as compared to the pickup trucks or the large trucks that you see, because it has the height of this particular front end is smaller as compared to trucks and as compared to pickup trucks. So due to that, it will have a easier way of moving around. But in general, when you talk about drag, the major locations where the drag is generated is at the front end and at the rear end over here. So basically what happens here is, basically when your air pressure increases, start to push back the vehicle, and due to you need to compensate that with either vehicle power, which again takes a hit on your fuel economy, or you can just facilitate and smoother airflow over the vehicle. That will maximize the efficiency and reduces the drag, and that way your fuel economy is also saved. So that's about the front end. When you talk about the rear end of the car, you will have it's called as rear vacuum, where due to the shape of the car at the back end, it will have a flow separation. So that is also called as flow detachment from the top surface. It will have flow detachment, and basically there will be a wake region forming. So this green region that is highlighted, it's called as wake region, where due to the air vacuum, basically it will have no air, and when your air tries to move forward from left to right, in this region it will cause reverse flow, it will cause eddies formation, vortex formation, and due to that that generates turbulence, and that generates instability. Along with that, it generates drag, because when you will have a vacuum kind of a situation, obviously it will be generating a suction force on the vehicle surface from this end in the opposite direction of the vehicle movement. So due to that continuous force, a continuous vacuum zone, it is kind of a continuous drag on the vehicle, continuous resistance to the vehicle, which you need to compensate with either power or either modifying the design. Now coming to the Tesla Cybertruck. So here, due to the unique design, will have the flow separation occurs at the start of the vehicle. This is because of the blunt face that the Cybertruck has, and due to that there is kind of a flow separation occurs. But when you have the Cybertruck has a wide windshield, and due to that the flow reattachment also occurs over here at the top surface, and when you are moving past this point, there is almost little to no separation, because in consideration this is a closed form of the truck. So basically the back end is completely closed, and due to that you will have little to no separation at this particular point, where your flow will be streamlined and there will be a lesser generation of vortices. So at least that was the concept. So why initially when you will have your usual pickup trucks, The idea was with this design, it is impossible, or many of the researchers felt like this kind of shape will be adversely affecting the aerodynamics, and it won't be the design shape that Tesla has. It won't be working in the advantageous situations where it will increase drag, and it will have all sorts of complications. But when actual application of the design was considered, and when some of the safety simulations were done, considering all of those parameters, the drag coefficient was coming around 0.4. So it was within reasonable amounts, and the design was approving, so there was not that many restrictions to that. But this is considering the vehicle, having no attachments like rear view mirrors and etc. things. So there will be minor attachments which can be excluded in some kind of safety simulations and etc. things, where researchers would just need to observe how the flow is moving around the vehicle. So in that case, considering those assumptions, there will be impactful, like there might be increase in drag, and all those things will happen. So considering that, you'll have with this design works, but it still has some kind of implications in considering the drag, because when your flow tries to move past this edge, you will be seeing that in the next slide. So here, when your flow tries to move past this edge, it kind of generates a vortex where your fluid that is trying to move from the so because not all the air will flow from the top of the roof. It will start moving towards the sideways, and it will try to generate a vortex kind of a flow towards this, because when your air slips on these edges, it will try to move outward, and then it will again come back inwards due to the adverse pressure generated over the back of the truck, and due to that there will be a vortex generation along the line of the vehicle, where you can see here, and it will be adversely affecting the drag, because with vortex generation there will be additional drag, turbulence, and due to that there will be drag involvement. So when we compare this with the Ford F-150, we'll be seeing that as you see here, this is the another kind of analysis that was done by the IIT Bombay student that I was mentioning, where he has come to a conclusion that the flow separation was not that severe in this case, and whatever the drag coefficient that they have achieved was good enough in terms of like realistic ways, where as compared to why I'm comparing these two, first of all, because when you're because to give you the context regarding the drag coefficient for pickup trucks, it is considered that if your pickup truck has a coefficient below 0.3, like drag coefficient below 0.3, the design will be like impossibly good, because it is highly impossible to achieve that lower of drag coefficient in terms of pickup trucks. But in terms of vehicles, it is a little bit lesser. It is around like 0.25 or something, where you will have higher kind of efficiency in terms of vehicle, but due to the size and due to the shape, overall shape of the pickup trucks, and also the purpose for which they are used, it is highly unlikely that they will have that level of drag coefficient. But usual pickup trucks have like the drag coefficient around like 0.3, 0.4 to 0.45, and in those range itself, the drag coefficient is it's also considered good enough. For Ford F-150, it is considered to have 0.357 as low as, that is the lowest drag coefficient anyone has ever recorded in the history of pickup truck design. But with Cybertruck, with Tesla, they have committed a statement where they said that with little effort, with little changes or minor tweaks in the design of Tesla Cybertruck, they will be able to achieve the drag coefficient as 0.3, which is highly unreasonable and highly unlikely from the design aspects, or from the usual design aspects. But so let's just have a quick look at a paper that I was referring to the other day regarding this, to see how closer we are considering that design aspects. So in this paper, what they have done is basically they have taken a brief model of the Tesla, and to test this theory, where they have run it for the speed range of 18 to 27 meters per second, that's around 40 to 60 meters per hour, sorry, miles per hour. So in that case, what happened was, where they have tried to run this simulation, and they have used the RANS equation, which is like a simpler, which is an time averaged version of Navier-Stokes equations. Those who are familiar with CFD, they must have heard about these equations, where these equations act as governing equations for describing the turbulent nature of the flow, and these equations are used to define the flow concepts. Now when we move on to the geometrical configuration over here, they have used an open end truck, where the tailgate is closed, but as you can see, the overall rear end of the Cybertruck is open, and use this detailed mesh, where your mesh cells are final towards the boundary to capture the near wall boundary phenomena, because we are here to observe the near wall flow separation, whether it occurs or not, and how it happens. Now when you move down towards the results, you will be able to see here that the pressure and velocity control generated over here, they state it's a pretty common scenario, where you will have higher pressure over here, and the pressure usual with comparison to your usual flow. Excuse me, just a minute. Somebody who I'm sorry about the disturbance, because I was getting a lot of disturbance from one of the participants who have left their mic unmuted. So try to keep your mic mute, because it creates disturbance in the session. So anyways, while I was discussing regarding the pressure and velocity control, so I was observing this, that when you will have your flow considered over here, as you can see, the if you compare this analysis, or you compare this frame with your usual vehicle, your pickup truck frame, it will have a similar kind of a flow behavior, but there will be two major changes, where at the top over here you will have lesser to no separation due to this brief steep angle of that maintains the flow, and that maintains the overall aerodynamic design of the car. There will be some level of like flow separation, but the flow again gets reattached due to the air coming inward from the sideways, and due to that the overall pressure gets maintained over here, and due to that the rear end also doesn't get lifted up due to the adverse pressure conditions, and it becomes the vehicle becomes stable while it's moving. Now when you see this flow here, they have highlighted these are the velocity controls. Basically these were the pressure controls that we were discussing. These are the velocity controls, and as you can see over here, there is a little bit of flow separation happening, because if I give you the context of the colors, the red means there will be higher, you can say higher, the higher amount of the property will be there. So if we are observing velocity, red means it will be the velocity will be higher, and blue means the velocity will be close to zero, or it will be zero. So when you are seeing here towards your front end, it will be as it suggests, your pressure will be maximum, due to that your velocity will be zero. And when you are observing over here, if I just zoom it in a bit, yeah, where you are observing at this A section, you will have some sort of flow separation occurring, which again contributes to drag to some extent, and again it will be the flow will be reattached, due to that the drag is also reduced, and as your fluid is moving past this windshield, your flow becomes smoother, and that way it will reduce the drag in overall comparison of the front face or front end of the vehicle. But as compared to the rear end, these theories suggest that it's quite unsure to achieve the like said or achieve target, which is 0.3 drag coefficient, which is highly unlikely, because here also, due to the adverse pressure, due to this flow separation and all of those things, it will be difficult to generate that streamlined nature of flow in open case of the tailgate. If your rear end is completely closed, as we were saying in these slides, in that case your flow separation is not that severe and your drag is also not that severe. In that case, it might achieve 0.3, and due to that, this design might have like that level of promises, like high level of promises, where you will have like lowest achievable drag coefficient. So some of the researchers also said that the drag coefficient that was in the closed truck case can be achieved like around 0.32 to 0.35, in that range. So it will be again lesser than the drag coefficient that was achieved by the Ford F-150 pickup truck. So in that sense, it is highly this design is highly promising. But and again, if you discuss about the tailgate, when you'll have like in sense of pickup trucks solely, this tailgate, if it's closed, it acts as a spoiler. So what happens is, where your air that is going to come from this point onwards, due to this, it doesn't get move past this tailgate, and it stays over here. That tries to reduce the, due to that, your airflow is your air is kind of like stuck over here, and due to that, it kind of compensates for the lower pressure region. As you can see over here, due to this tailgate being closed, here your air slowly tries to like settle over here, and due to that, it generates like kind of starts generating for moving towards higher pressure as compared to this region, and due to that, your rear end becomes stable, and at higher speeds you will have stable drive as compared to your tailgate being open. In most of the pickup cases, what happens is, if you leave your tailgate open, you will lose on your fuel economy, because there will be a higher amount of drag happening because of no restrictions placed towards the end. It will generate higher like this thing. So even if you observe, when you'll have if you run a pickup truck or any truck that has their tailgate open, if you run it, it will assume, or it will absorb higher, it will use higher amount of fuel. It will drive at a lesser mileage, will give you lesser mileage as compared to other trucks, because whenever this is also observed in the case of Ford F-150, where it was run in both cases where its tailgate was closed and tailgate was open. In the closed state, you get a mileage of 18 miles per hour, but in open tailgate, you will get a mileage of 15 miles per hour. So if you consider, well, in case of open tailgate, it is a highly not advisable in terms of fuel economy. You will get lesser, you will consume a lot more fuel in terms of when you will have your tailgate open, as opposed to you will have when you'll work with the pickup truck who has its tailgate closed. In that case, you will have more mileage and your fuel will be saved. So that is also another part where in Tesla it will happen, as this is a 2D flow, this is a 2D frame we are seeing it at the middle section of the vehicle, and due to that also it this kind of result tells like an approximate story, but it's a good understanding. Also with if you compare Tesla Cybertruck with any other pickup trucks, the bottom part of the Cybertruck is completely plain. So here you will have a good quality airflow moving from this point onwards, and it tends to maintain a good streamlined flow. Due to that, the aerodynamic, like the drag observed over here, is reduced, and due to that, it's actually in comparison to like other pickup trucks, it is highly useful because of the this is possible because of their electric battery packs and the overall uniqueness, overall internal design that they're underlying, like the bottom surface of the Tesla truck is completely plain, and this is unique for all the Tesla vehicles. So they have the better advantage in this case as well, where whatever the drag that is happening due to this flow separation or this starting flow separation can be compensated with this bottom design, and overall drag coefficient that could be achieved will be still within the range of 0.35 to 0.4, and it could be approachable. So all in all, we'll have the final conclusions over here, where I'll just move back to the conclusions. And in this analysis also, they have run like few theoretical analysis, or actually computational analysis, and they got the CD as 0.4 for 18 meters per second, and which is kind of closer to whatever the real-time simulations that they were having. It's kind of an so because this is the approximate solution that we are getting, so still these are in acceptable ranges, where as we consider the pickup trucks having the drag coefficient within 0.4 to 0.45, this still is highly efficient as compared to them. So and with minor tweaks and minor adjustments to their design, they will be able to achieve the higher like a good drag coefficient. So overall, whatever we have seen is basically this CAD model, in all in conclusion, the drag coefficient was from this analysis was around 0.4. So whatever the changes that they were planning for the design, for the nose of the front end of the vehicle, and due to the safety and like traveling guidelines, whatever the changes they might have, based on that the drag coefficient will vary. It will be either so if you consider this, it is pretty close to what they wanted to achieve, and in general comparison of the in general comparison of the pickup trucks, it's still within acceptable ranges. Now the major issues that we're having is the flow separating at the front edge of the bonnet and the roof edge, where at the peak of the vehicle you will have the flow separation. So basically, let me just go back to that. Yeah, basically these two regions are the main problem or main root of the cause of the drag that is going to that the vehicle is going to observe. And with minor tweaks and minor design changes, these also can be reduced. With this, I think this design is actually have good promise, and when like the sideways airflows and sideways vortexes, they also contribute to for higher speeds. They also contribute to keeping the vehicle stable and reducing the drag in that cases as well. So that is also a good thing for this kind of analysis. So yeah, so basically this that was all in conclusion. That was about the Cyber Tesla Tech and comparison in terms of aerodynamics and analysis, and it was not much, but whatever understanding that we'll have, we have a better understanding of airflow and aerodynamics in that. So if you have any questions, you can just ask them in the chat box. I'll be just going through the chat box, and you can also unmute yourself and ask the questions. Yes, anyone has any questions in terms of any kind of any concept, any minor detail you might have not understood? It's okay. I'll be just going through that, and I will be explaining what it means and how it happens. So yeah. I'll see if I can share the PPT. I'm not sure about that, but I will see. Sir, can you please show the graph of MATLAB once again and please explain these parameters? Okay, let me just share my screen once again. And oh, you mean these plots? No. So these plots just refer to validate the fluid velocity versus the CD. So as you know, your velocity, when your velocity increases, velocity of the vehicle increases, your drag coefficient, it will be reducing, because you are compensating for the resistance with the vehicle, like vehicle power or vehicle velocity that you are going to provide via running the engine, right? So this is just to validate the results. This is just to validate the model, that is it's accurate. And in conclusion, we'll have the, with your velocity increase, with your increase in velocity, your drag coefficient seems to reduce. So that's the only explanation that this has. And if you talk about the residuals of CD converging graph, so in CFD this is concept called as residuals, where when you're trying to simulate for multiple iterations, basically you will be calculating the same quantity by having with comparison with the previous iteration what you had. So if you are calculating velocity at a particular point, you need to have as less difference as possible in the two successive values of two successive iterations, so that your analysis will be accurate. So basically, when you're solving some kind of equation in this manner, for any kind of parameter, any velocity, may it be anything. So for all of those parameters, the simulation or the CFD software uses iterative solvers. Basically what they do is they use these numerical methods based on initial guesses of the velocity, or whatever initial conditions that we have provided. Based on that, for each stages or for each step of the way, because it's kind of divided into multiple parts, I would be better able to explain with the mesh over here. Let me just go to that. Yeah. So basically what happens is, as you can see over here, for each element, their fluid properties or whatever the properties that are going through this, they are calculated using the Navier-Stokes equation. Navier-Stokes equation is a governing equation which is tweaked to generalize or tweaked to observe the turbulent nature, which is also called as and different models are formed based on that, and those models are called as k omega, k epsilon, based on the assumptions that the little changes and little configuration, mathematical manipulations that has been done to the Navier-Stokes equations. Based on that, they have formed. Now when you're solving for it, you will solve for a singular property at a singular element, and for that property, whatever you are solving, you will have a reference value from your previous iteration which you have solved for, and that will be acting as a starting point for your calculation value. Now when you are solving using numerical methods, the value that you are going to get at the first stage will be used as a reference in the overall equation, and that way you will be based on the other parameters, it is compared, and again with each iteration it will be solved. It will be basically it will be solved for till you get the difference between the two successive values as minimum as possible, or whatever you have established. So that is the basic idea of the residuals. With this, so basically this is the general understanding, and where we'll have so these are the various ways of representing the various properties and their behaviors, and how we can observe and how we can analyze the behaviors overall. So that just these patches just tell us that what is the general understanding of the pressure, or the general idea of how the flow is happening, how the flow is moving, whether it's in acceptable conditions or not, and whether what kind of design changes would be needed, or whatever kind. Basically that will just give us an idea. So these whenever you have a minor tweak in the design, when you run a CFD of that particular design, it will give you some form of change based on your previous design or previous analysis, and when you compare the two, you will get conclusive idea whether your drag is reduced, whether your drag is increased or whatnot, and that way you can move ahead with your modifications in design, and again furthermore you can have more accuracy with that. I hope that answers the question. Inversely proportional to drag coefficient. Yeah, velocity and Reynolds number are inversely proportional to drag coefficient. Yeah. Sir, can you once again explain about the pickup trucks using closed and open tailgate? Okay, sure. So to give you the context of things, I'll just switch to one website. It's called Ford 150. So basically, let me just explain it over here itself. Okay, so when you have your tailgate open, again I need to actually access that. One second, just give me a second. Yeah, let me just share my screen once again to explain the closed and open tailgate scenario. So basically, this is the Ford F-150 pickup truck. So your tailgate open means this is the scenario where your tailgate will be open, and here is where your tailgate is closed. So what happens is, when you are seeing that when your tailgate is open, basically you will have this heavier flow separation over here as compared to this. Basically these are the two comparisons between the same vehicle, where here in the top image it has its tailgate open, or it's basically without a tailgate, and below its tailgate is closed. So what happens is, due to this you will have a higher flow separation. Due to that, higher turbulence will be there. Like this wake region will be higher over here, and due to that your flow tends to like there will be a lot of turbulence, and at your rear end you will have a variety of pressure regions, where you will have your lower pressure regions or low pressure areas will be more dominant as compared to your higher pressure regions. If you look at far beyond the rear part, the pressure seems to get like normalized, but if you consider towards this particular part, it will be heavier in comparison to the closed one. So here's where we'll have there will be a chances to generate lift, because you will have lower pressure region over here and you will have higher pressure region over here at the bottom of the vehicle. And to that, it tends to lift the vehicle from the back side, and due to that what happens is, basically your vehicle becomes unstable, and you will need more control. For that you will need more stability. So basically you will need more weight. We need to add more weight to the vehicle. So due to that, it will be balancing out, but still in that case also you need to drive more weight, and again it will affect your fuel economy. But when you have your closed tailgate, basically whatever the flow separation that was occurring over here, and due to that the fluid or the low pressure region that is being generated over here, it is reducing in this region. As you can see, the air tries to move the air tries to move in, and it generates kind of there are chances of raising higher pressure as compared to this region, and due to that it kind of like balances things out for that. So yeah, that's the idea. I hope it clears out. See, Hari. Yeah, yeah. So basically, with this, I just wanted to give you overall understanding and overall idea of what aerodynamics is, and what CFD is, and how these things are done. So if you want to get more attention, or if you want to get a good understanding of things, you need to start practicing. And how you can start practicing is basically you can come aboard with us, as many of you are accessing our free course program, Industry Skill Booster program. So many of you are aware of the courses that we are having. So to give you a general idea, we have different courses in different domains like vehicle dynamics, design, data science, engineering design, and etc. And to give you a detailed understanding of one of the courses based regards to computational fluid dynamics, basically with a mastering CFD simulations course, you can get understanding of what CFD is, what CFD essentials are in different applications, because CFD is very vast. If I tell you regarding that, like you will have wherever there is a fluid involvement, there is a need of CFD to understand the operation, to understand the fluid flow behavior, to better optimize its operating conditions for that suits our operating, that actually increases the efficiency of the overall process. So we will have turbo machinery, you have aerodynamics, that is a big thing in aerospace engineering as well, in high-end sports cars, automotive fields. Then you will have heat transfer. There's another segment where you can do all kinds of thermal analysis in line with high speed and all of those things. So basically there will be all kind of properties will be intermixed and internalize. There are also advanced concepts called multi-phase flows, which you can also explore. So basically CFD has countless applications. With us, you can get different projects to work on, where you will start with simpler projects like pressure drop analysis in pipe, to bigger, like an advanced analysis, as you can see over here, like aerodynamic analysis of a front wing and what happens, and how to conduct that analysis, how to get this level of understanding. So yeah, that's how you can do it. And towards this, I'll be also sharing certification form link, which will be accessible for you all, those who have attended this session. And also you'll be given a discount coupon code, which you can avail these courses at a discounted price. So yeah, I think link and the coupon code is also added over here, so you can avail 20% of discount from different courses. And yeah, so it was lovely having you all in this session. And it was so if you want to avail your certificates, you just fill up the form. You can get free counseling as well at us, where whatever domain or whatever doubts you might have regarding your career, you can get a free counseling from us, where you can get a better grip on your career, better understanding, and that will lead you to become a great engineer. So yeah, I thank you all for participating in this. Thank you all for listening to me. And there were some interesting questions, so I hope I have been able to answer all of them. So yeah, so I'll be here for another 4 or 5 minutes. So until then, if you have any questions regarding the course, or if you have any questions regarding the session that we had today, we'll be able to answer. Aman says, sir, I missed the previous session. Could you share the session? Sure, Aman, I'll try to see that. I think it was about vortex sharing, I believe. So yeah, I'll try to see if recording is available, and if it's there, we'll be able to surely share it with you. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Last week, but did not receive this course certificate. When I get the certificates of the course. Okay. So Chandragupta, so to tell you the scenario, we'll have many more people requesting for certificates and all. It actually takes some time to go through all of them. So if to be frank, you'll be able to receive the certificate like within 2 or 3 weeks. maybe there will be a kind of different scenario there. So I'll just confirm what the details are, and I'm sure one of our operations teams will be getting back to you shortly on that. I missed this session. Please share this, sir. Sure, Mahesh. I am actually recording currently this session, so you'll be getting the recording. Make sure to make sure to fill up the counseling form that was shared before. Info, could you please share that message once more so everybody else get access to that form? Just a minute, I'm sharing the form once again here. I'm just repeating once more. So basically you can avail this coupon code for a discount of 20% on all of our courses that we provide. So yeah, it will be valid till 2 days. So yeah. I still have 2 or 3 more minutes, so if anybody has any questions, they can put them in the chat box. Yeah, so as I see that there are no more questions, it was lovely to see all of you here, and it was great conversing with you. It was great sharing knowledge as always. So keep exploring, everybody. Keep learning and keep exploring, and keep sharing what you know to others, so that everybody is informed and will have a better future ahead. So have a nice day, everyone. Take care. Bye bye. With that, I will be taking your leave. Thank you all.